I used to work late shifts at a warehouse, usually getting off around 11:15 at night. The drive home was about 20 minutes, mostly empty roads, long stretches with almost no traffic. That night started like any other. I pulled out of the parking lot and noticed a dark sedan leaving just a few seconds after me. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. A few people usually leave around the same time, but about 5 minutes into the drive, something felt off. I switched lanes to pass a slow truck, and almost immediately, the sedan switched lanes too. That was the first moment I noticed it. Still, I tried to ignore it. We were heading the same direction. It happens. But then, I made a turn I never take. An early right, completely out of my normal route. I didn't even know why I did it. Maybe something in my gut was already trying to tell me something. A few seconds later, the sedan turned too. That's when my stomach dropped. I decided to test it, without making it obvious. I turned left into a quiet neighborhood, then another right, then another left. None of this was part of my route home. And every single time, those headlights stayed behind me. Same distance. Not speeding up, not falling back, just there. At that point, my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I tried to get a look at the driver, but the windows were too dark. And every time I slowed down just a little, they slowed down too. That's when I knew this wasn't a coincidence. And I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going home. Instead, I headed toward a gas station I knew was open all night. Bright lights, usually at least a few people around. Somewhere I wouldn't be alone. As I pulled into the entrance, the sedan slowed down. For a second, I thought it was going to follow me in, but it didn't. It just kept driving. I parked right under the brightest lights, near the front doors, and sat there pretending to look at my phone. My hands were shaking. I kept replaying everything in my head, trying to convince myself I was overreacting. Maybe they lived nearby, maybe it really was just coincidence, but then, about 5 minutes later, I saw it again, the same dark sedan, slowly driving past the gas station. This time, from the opposite direction. It didn't stop, didn't turn in, it just rolled by. Slowly, like whoever was inside was checking to see if I was still there. That's when the fear really hit me. They hadn't just kept going. They had turned around. I stayed there for another 15 minutes, waiting until other cars pulled in. Only then did I leave. And I didn't take my normal route home. I took a longer way, looping around, constantly checking my mirrors. The sedan never showed up again. I made it home safely that night, but I didn't sleep much. The next evening, when I got off work, I scanned the parking lot without even thinking. At first, I didn't see anything, and I almost felt stupid for worrying. But then, I noticed it. A dark car, parked 2 rows over. Same shape, same tinted windows. It could have been any car. I know that. But the moment I looked at it, the engine turned on, the headlights came up, and it pulled out. I froze. I got into my car quickly, locked the doors, and didn't move. The sedan drove past my row slowly. Not aggressive, not fast, just slow enough that it felt like they were looking directly at me. Then it left the parking lot. I didn't go home right away that night either. I waited, followed behind other cars for a while, and only split off when I felt safe. I haven't seen that car since. At least, not that I've noticed. But I changed everything after that. Different routes, different times. Eventually, I even changed my shift. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it really was just a coincidence. Twice. But I can't ignore one thing. They turned around after I pulled into that gas station, and the next night they were waiting in my work parking lot. If I had gone straight home that first night, they would have known exactly where I lived. And that's the part that still bothers me, because I don't know what they were planning, only that I might have avoided it just in time. I found the envelope in my mailbox late one night. No return address. No name I recognized, just my address. Curiosity got the better of me, so I opened it. Inside was a single photograph. It looked like a New Year's party. 2017, judging by the decorations. And the strangest part, it was my living room. I was in it, my family was there, friends, co-workers, all of us frozen in a moment, smiling, holding drinks, like it had actually happened. But I didn't remember any of it. At first, I laughed it off. Maybe it was an old photo I forgot about, or some kind of joke. But something about it felt wrong. The faces, they didn't feel natural. It was like they were staring at me from somewhere else. That's when I noticed him, Kevin, standing near the back, smiling like he always did. But something about that didn't make sense. I checked my phone, my emails, my calendar, nothing. No record of him being there, no memory of that night at all. I tried to ignore it. Told myself it was just a weird coincidence, but then, a few days later, Kevin was gone. Not just from the photo, gone, completely. His face had vanished from the picture, and in real life, no one remembered him. At work, I asked about him. "Hey, has anyone seen Kevin?" People just looked at me, confused. "Kevin?" one of them said. "Who's that?" I felt my chest tighten. "Kevin, from finance. He always did the slides." My boss looked up at me, frowning. "We don't have anyone named Kevin. We've been understaffed for weeks." That's when it hit me. He didn't just disappear from the photo. He disappeared from reality, and I was the only one who remembered him. After that, I couldn't stop looking at the picture. I started noticing more. My mom, standing next to me, her arm around my shoulder. But that couldn't be right. That year, she had worked New Year's. She wasn't there. I called my sister, tried to sound normal. "Hey, do you remember that New Year's party in 2017? She paused. "What party?" "With Mom, at my place." Another pause. "What are you talking about?" "She's been at work all day." I slowly looked back at the photo. My mom's face was starting to blur, right in front of me, fading. Just like Kevin, I felt sick. Then I saw someone else, my girlfriend, sitting at the table, smiling. The problem was, I didn't meet her until 4 years later. She shouldn't have been there, and worse, her face was already starting to disappear. That's when I realized this wasn't just a picture, it was changing things. Anyone who disappeared from it stopped existing. And somehow, I was the only one who remembered them. I panicked. I ran to the park where I met her. The first time we became real. She was there, sitting on a bench, reading, just like I remembered. For a second, I thought everything was okay, but when she looked up at me, her expression changed. Confused. "I'm sorry," she said. "Do I know you?" Everything inside me dropped. All of it. Gone. Every memory we shared erased. and I was the only one who even knew it happened. I wanted to explain. I wanted to tell her everything. But I knew how it would sound, like I had completely lost my mind. So I forced a smile and said, "I'm sorry, I thought you were someone else." I walked away, trying not to fall apart. When I got home, I sat on the couch for a long time, just staring at nothing, trying to understand what was happening. Then I remembered something. I was in the photo too. I grabbed it again, my hands shaking. I didn't know what I expected to see. When I looked at it, I wasn't fading. I wasn't disappearing. My image was clearer, sharper than before. But something was wrong. I wasn't standing in the room anymore. Everyone else was gone. It was just me, standing there, alone, and on my face, I wasn't smiling anymore. I looked like I already knew what was going to happen, and I wasn't looking at the camera. I was looking past it, at something, standing behind it. For 3 months, I lived with a sound, a high-pitched, dying battery chirp from the smoke detector in my hallway, every 45 seconds, day and night. It didn't matter if I was sleeping, watching TV, or just sitting in silence. It was always there, a tiny, constant needle in my brain. I complained to my landlord over and over again. "Hey, the detector needs a new battery." "I'll get to it," he'd say every time, but he never did. And there was something else, something strange about him. Whenever I brought it up, he wouldn't look at me. His eyes would drift away, like he didn't even want to look at the apartment itself. Last Tuesday, I finally snapped. I grabbed a stepladder and decided to deal with it myself. The detector looked old, cheap plastic, yellowed with age. I reached up, twisted it, expecting it to come right off. It didn't move, it was stuck. I had to grab a screwdriver and force it loose. There was a loud crack as the seal broke, and just like that, the chirping stopped completely. The silence felt wrong, like something had just been turned off that shouldn't have been. I looked up, expecting to see wires, but there weren't any. No connector, no drywall, just a small circle of glass, set perfectly into the ceiling, like a window, and behind it, darkness. I leaned closer, trying to see inside. What kind of building has something like that? An old vent? A crawl space? I couldn't tell, so I cupped my hands around my eyes, blocking the light, trying to see deeper. And that's when I saw it. 2 eyes, right there, on the other side of the glass, wide, milky white, unblinking, staring directly at me. I fell backwards off the ladder, slamming into the floor. I couldn't breathe. My heart felt like it was going to rip out of my chest. I scrambled up, forcing myself to look again. The glass was empty, just darkness. Nothing there. I called my landlord immediately, my voice shaking as I tried to explain what I saw. There was a long silence on the phone. Too long. Then finally, he spoke. His voice was lower than I had ever heard it. "You need to put it back. Right now." I froze. "What are you talking about? There's something up there. It's not a someone," he said. His voice sounded dry, like he already knew. "It's the reason the rent is so cheap." My stomach dropped. "What is it?" Another pause. Then he said something I still can't get out of my head. "It's been there since my grandfather built this place. We don't know what it is. We just know it needs to listen." I didn't say anything. "It needs to hear people," he continued. "Living, talking, moving. The chirping. That was new. It must have gotten bored. My chest tightened. "Put it back," he said, "before it gets curious." The call ended. And now, I'm standing here, looking at the hole in my ceiling. The detector is back in place, but I haven't screwed it in yet. I can't bring myself to get that close again. The chirping hasn't started back up. It's completely silent. Too silent. And I can't shake this feeling. That the silence on my side means it's listening to something else now. Something on the other side.